Hello and welcome to Death Guaranteed Games Deathcast Episode 2. Today we are fortunate enough to have all three eyes of the Triclops known as Death Guaranteed Games. Myself, Judge Shadowfoot, we have up to my left here, we have Judge Crow, as well as Judge Paul. Today we're going to be discussing our introductions to tabletop RPGs, as well as our introduction to Dungeon Crawl Classics, and basically, how we came to meet each other and join this journey into becoming the Triclops known as Death Guaranteed Games. So I believe, Crow, you were the first of us to start rolling these clickety-clackety dice. You want to tell us how your adventure began?
It was 1983. My parents had gotten rid of the television. We had nothing to do. We were bored stiff. So my brothers and I started rolling dice, sketching maps on graph pads, dying often. No. Really never leveling up very often. And I got to start because I was the one that got the first copy of the Dungeon Master's Guide and the Player's Handbook. And then eventually Monster's Manual, Fiend Folio, Deities and Demigods, and all that good stuff. But then my youngest brother, really started enjoying maps. And so he would draw the maps and swear he would forget where the secret doors he put were. But every time he's like, I'm going to check for a secret door right there. And then if he failed his roll, he'd be like, can I check again? Can I check again? So we already had fun was the name of the game. Dying was common. Weirder the better. Certainly fine to get a lot of riches, but how are you going to carry it out? So we had to get creative with that kind of stuff. We had no minis, no visuals, nothing. It was all theater of the mind, and we got hooked. So yeah, back in our youth, we played a lot. Kept ourselves entertained. I think kept ourselves out of trouble and kept ourselves from killing each other because we got to kill goblins and orcs. It was awesome. So that's where I got started.
Very cool, very cool. Paul, again, I think I'm the newest to the game, so you're up next. How did you get introduced to the world of TTRPGs?
Well, I was a little bit later, 1991, and my mom brought home the TSR Black Box, sort of a famous version of the basic rule set, with the big red dragon on the front, and there's some sort of warrior swinging a two-handed axe at it. And I was hooked from the picture. I mean, I just got that in my hands and was like, what the heck is this?
That's a pretty cool mom.
Yeah, she's great. She's great. She really encouraged my early role playing. And she was, one of my first party members. So I read the little pamphlet book that came in there with Zanzer Tem's Dungeon. That was the adventure that came with the black box. And I ran it for my mom, my dad, and my little brother. And that was it for me. After that, 2E was just becoming popular at that time. So I just devoured everything I could. I'd go to B. Dalton bookseller or Walden Books. This is where you could buy those things back in the 90s. And I got Greyhawk, the box set for 2E, and that came with a giant map of the city of Greyhawk, as well as descriptions of the environs. And it was just mind-blowing to me. It was like early Lankmar, just this enormous city with endless adventure in it. And yeah, man, after that I found Dragonlance and just went gonzo with it. That was my first big campaign that I ran, was a Dragonlance campaign. Fell in love with Weiss and Hickman's arts and their stories, the novels that accompanied. Just amazing stuff. I'd never had anything like that in my life. Yeah, I'd read Lord of the Rings, but it just doesn't have really that same I know I'm going to get crucified for saying this on stream. Doesn't have the same gravitas as the War of the Lance.
Mm-hmm.
That was Larry Elmore art, by the way. Just a little shout out to great artists.
Yes, Larry. Oh, you're right. Yeah, I said Weiss and Hickman art. I meant their stories, but yes,
Yeah.
Elmore. Oh, Elmore.
Yeah, so it's fantastic art. I mean, just yeah, art is so invoking of everything that gives us our imagination. But all right, well that jumps to me then. So Crow, you said 1983. So you were rolling dice 3 years before I was even born. I was born in '86, so that you've definitely got a leap on me. But even Paul at '91, that's still well before me. So I didn't start rolling dice until 2019. So just before COVID kind of hit, I had a job that allowed me a lot of downtime to be able to prep and run games, and I started listening to a couple podcasts. Of course, like Critical Role. Then there was the Adventure Zone podcast, which was hilarious, and I love the Adventure Zone because it was just so weird and goofy, and the guy created his whole thing, and it was so fun. So that was kind of my first introduction to it, and then I got into Critical Role, and that was very very much D&D 5e, at least when it was the streaming part that I saw, anyways. And just started to throw my imagination. I wanted to do this. I got tired of video games because they're so linear so much, and I wanted to be able to have the freedom to do whatever you want to do, which is what TTRPGs are all about. And so I decided that, hey, I have some friends across the country. I'm gonna do an online game for them. So I ended up running the Lost Mines of Phandelver 5e, and then kind of taking it off into a homebrew from there. And we ran about every other week or so for a good couple years through COVID and everything like that, and had a blast. And then eventually, new jobs, moving, kind of caused that to fall apart. The constant and most dangerous enemy of all TTRPGs, scheduling. So we ended up losing that. But again, too, I was even playing there. We ended up getting up to a pretty high level. I think level 11 or 12 in 5e. At which point, it's really hard for especially me being a newer judge, to really challenge that kind of level, because the adventurers are almost invincible at that point, unless you're a really experienced judge or DM who knows how to balance encounters and push that limit. Which I wasn't at the time. So I started looking for, what else is out there that I could get into. And then, of course, there was the whole OGL debacle and everything that happened. So I was like, okay, let me see what else I can support. I found Dungeon Crawl Classics and absolutely fell in love with it. The roll tables for everything from criticals to fumbles, the spell casting, where spells in 5e did become very boring to me. You always knew what was going to happen, so it's like if I knew I was running a game and my guy has these spells, okay, all I have to do is give my enemies a pretty decent save and they'll be fine most of the time. So I was like, let me come up with something else, and so 5e, or the DCC with their just completely gonzo spell casting, really makes it a lot more adventurous and fun for me. And again, too, with DCC, it's meant to be a bit more deadly, going old school like that. So I don't have to worry about balancing. I can make something, super dangerous. And as a judge, I've learned that as long as you telegraph some of that ahead of time, and they have the ability to turn around and flee or do something else, then it's on them if they die at that point. Like they had the opportunity to get out. So I've been having a blast running DCC with Crow up here as well. He's been in one of my games, and he's learned that I have been learning from their playing. So getting guys pinched between doors and things like that, circling around and flanking them and everything. It's been a blast. So that has been basically my journey. It started recently, but has definitely been taken off, and I've been having a great time with it.
It's funny. I found DCC actually through the art as well. I play a lot of play by post, which is sort of an old school way of slow playing online. Make a post, respond to a post, takes months to years to complete a game. And I was looking for a picture for my wizard, and I came across the DCC spell corruption picture. It's sort of this famous picture in the core rulebook.
Codex.
Yeah, a wizard going from a normal guy all the way to this kind of horribly twisted, mutated form. And that was it. I was like, what the heck is this? How do I learn more?
Yeah,
awesome.
I'll get that picture and I'll have it pop up on the stream, so you
Yeah.
could
Oh,
share with everybody.
nice.
Yeah, so that's something I'll toss in there. So if you're not familiar with the image that we're talking about with the corruption table and the wizard that starts out looking pretty normal, and then by the end he's just this creature basically, I will share that right here for you.
Yeah, the art of Kovacs, that definitely pulled me, and just the idea that magic could corrupt the caster as well. I mean, that was wholly original in my experience. I don't know if they invented that concept, but it was certainly the first time I'd heard of it. Just kind of took something that had become so vanilla and turned it into a whole new flavor.
Yeah, magic should be strange and dangerous. You shouldn't just be
Yeah.
able to shoot it like a pistol or like a bow and arrow. You know it's going to work every time.
Right.
Yeah, magic shouldn't be like that. It's mysterious. It's crazy. It's wonky. Yeah, it gives you so much more story elements to help develop your character too. So I love it.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, Crow.
Yeah, I just wanted to shout Paul out because Paul was the one that introduced me to DCC at a time when I might have been playing a warlock and I was getting really tired of whenever it was my turn, everybody at the table turned to me, Eldritch Blast? Like it was so automatic. Like I didn't even feel like I had choice. It was the
Oh, gee, let me look at my sheet here.
right. It was the obvious best, damage per turn kind of a thing, and I just was like, oh, okay, where's the creativity, where's the dynamics, where's the player creativity, where's the character creativity? And then Paul's like, well, maybe you'd like this, and I was like, oh, so awesome.
Yeah,
And my favorite thing was probably at the time the idea of a Mighty Deeds variability, because I was interested in switching to playing a fighter, and fighters can also be, well, I swing my whatever weapon.
Yeah.
Oh, guess what? I swing my weapon. Oh, I swing my weapon every time the dice comes around or the initiative.
Probably the single greatest creation that DCC has given this world is the Mighty Deed.
Oh gosh, they have so many, but that's definitely one of the ones that got me interested in the variability of play, and the fact that there's like a built-in risk failure even within succeeding to hit.
Mm-hmm.
You can still hit and do damage, but you could either succeed on the called shot or the tripping attack or the pinning somebody to the wall with a blade, whatever, disarming, or you could still do damage and fail at that attempt, and it could look like something shy of that. So I really like that. But Mark, you gave us the perfect transition to talk about how we all met, because you mentioned that you're running a game and I'm playing in it, and I can't remember where I saw the game was listed. Was it Dungeon Crawler Discord? Because I remember just seeing, hey, DCC happening at the Guild House, and I messaged and showed up, and I think I was one of the first players. So it was pretty exciting that we did that over 2 years ago, and that's how I met you.
Yeah, it was probably one of 4 or 5 different places. So when I was really getting into DCC and I wanted to start running games, I went to my local friendly gaming store, the Guild House in Bellflower, and just started asking around, say, hey, is there any interest in people running these kind of games or playing these kind of games? And then when DCC Day came around, free RPG game day came around, I went to the store and offered. I'm like, hey, I can run a couple games for people in this game system, Dungeon Crawl Classics, and see if there's any people here around that would want to play it. So I'd post on their server, I would post on the Dungeon Crawlers server, and a couple other places, and we got pretty much full on those games. I think, Crow, you probably played in 1 or 2 of my DCC Day games or something prior to our campaign,
no.
or
You're sharing that brought it back for me. I brought my daughter, I think, to DCC Day, and I saw you running a game. Okay. And I couldn't stay because I brought my kid with me.
That's
so
right. I remember that. Yep.
And so I was just like, hey, it looks like you're playing DCC. What's going on? You're like, yeah. And then I think you had created like a flyer posted on the bulletin board. Hey, I'm going to start a regular campaign pretty soon if you're interested.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah, so I ended up running probably 4 or 5 like one-shots through like the last quarter of the year, November, December, and got a decent, I think I had like 4 or 5 players that became pretty regular. So by the time I had a solid group, I was like, okay, now we can kick off a campaign and get going. So then January, a couple years ago, we kicked off the Temple of Elemental Evil, running the OAR version from Goodman Games, and using the Dungeon Crawl Classics Dungeon Crawl Classics game system. And I mean, we've been having an absolute blast with it. Again, I don't worry about balancing anything. We've had quite a few character deaths, but it has been an absolute blast. And it's been one of those kind of things where even when characters die, they don't feel like they were cheated or something was taken away from them, because again, it's about trying to balance that and their decisions. And I got to say, probably a good 3 or 4 of them were 100% self-inflicted.
Yeah. Yeah. And then since we're doing that, I met Paul through my wife's best friend. And then I remember, Paul, when I first met you, actually, I first heard of you, I was like, okay, wife's best friend, I better play the older brother role, and I better mad dog you, and I better but then as soon as I met you, I'm like, bestie, what's happening? Let's go. And you play D&D, I want in. And so Paul brought me back into the game big time. And yeah, we hang out way more because of that. So, and then in the hanging out and playing, I think we almost every time we would play games at Strategicon convention, we would say things like, man, we really ought to write some stuff. We really ought to, and I would say this phrase, I remember this phrase very specifically. I want to be a producer, not just a consumer. I want to be giving something to the field, not just taking, not just like, you know what I mean? And I don't know who got the first idea, except that when my daughter and I started working on a story, that became the impetus for this has to be published, because I want to do that for my kid. I don't think I would have done it. I mean, the work it takes, both in the writing, the editing, getting the art, putting it together in crowdfunding and all that stuff, I wouldn't have done that just for myself. Those of you creators out there, you know what I'm talking about. It's so much work. And it's very satisfying and incredibly fulfilling to have fans want what you do. But if it wasn't for my daughter and the inspiration to do that thing, I would have never decided to publish. And then in the seeming success of it, Death Guaranteed Games became more of a reality. And Paul and I were like, actually, I think it was Paul, you said, we're going to need a third to break a tie because we're going to disagree.
Yeah, we both have some pretty strong opinions about role playing, so it just made sense that we need to be a tripod.
Who me? So instantly, the moment you said that, Paul, I was like, Mark is a phenomenal judge. Mm-hmm. He's got a great neutral, balanced. The way you judge, Mark, is so. You may not think it's balanced, but it's balanced as a judge. Maybe not the monsters you throw at us. But as a judge, you're very, very fair and balanced. And I'm like, dude, Mark would be great. He's got such a good mind for this stuff. And he's, anyway. So then I remember approaching you, and you're like, the first thing you said was like, oh my God, I have so many ideas. I have so many ideas. So it was all in from that moment.
Yep. Yeah. And you introduced me to Paul at Strategicon, speaking of that convention here in LA. I got to meet you there. I can't remember if that first convention I met you, we ended up running in each other's games or not, but I know we've run in games with each other since then. So we've all played with each other, we've all run for each other, and I think we have a pretty good balance there. And when you invited me to join, I was so excited. I was like, hey, maybe having other people with me will help me consolidate some of these things and actually make them happen, because I got into that whole idea where it was like decision paralysis. I got too many things that I want to do that nothing ends up happening. So as a group, a lot of times we'll discuss what ideas we have, and we'll kind of streamline and pick the couple that we think that we have the strongest motivation for, and that helps us kind of focus on things and actually produce some things. So
Speaking of actually producing something, I know this isn't going to age well because it's not live, but I just checked. We have 29 backers for your very first project. Congratulations. We're on the way to a successful crowdfunding.
That's
and
excellent.
Thanks to all those backers. Yeah, we're more than 25% fulfilled on backing. It's pretty dang exciting.
Yeah, just went live this morning. When I checked in this morning, it was already up and running and going, and we were getting backers. So I'm making sure to, jump into the community, thank those, that are supporting. I made sure to shout you guys out and thank both of you for your support, as well as Judge Ike, because Ike's been fantastic with his running and his knowledge. He's, been able to play test it, give me some really great feedback, and editing too. His editing has been fantastic. So big shout out to all of you guys and all of those that have supported me. This is my first published module myself, and I think it's been a little bit stressful, as it's all new learning and stuff like that, but it's been a great time. So this community, the whole Dungeon Crawl Classics community and RPGs in general, really, the third party is where it lives. The Goodman Games, Wizards of the Coast, those companies put out a great base, a great foundation. But from there, it's all homebrew and third party that really bring the worlds to life and make it worth playing and being a part of. So I wholeheartedly thank you guys for bringing me into this and being a part of this journey as well.
I'd like to second your gratitude towards Judge Ike. He was a huge help to me as well when I was publishing Great Pyramid of Autumn Misfit. I really found his feedback invaluable, and he is a tireless contributor to any project he finds himself to be a part of. Really, thanks, Judge Ike. Big thanks.
Shout out to Gong Farmers 951 out in Murrieta, Judge Ike and his wife Z. I met them actually at the Strategicon convention in my Love in the Age of Gong Farmers camp module. It was a Valentine's Day weekend, and I decided I'm going to throw a bunch of candied hearts on the table, and I had this bright pink and black skull on the table, and they play. They're husband and wife, but they play together like they're not. They didn't sit right next to each other. They didn't cozy up. In fact, there was some tension. I remember that Z had fallen smitten with like a peasant. And she was like really ramping it up, and it was pretty funny. So from the moment we met them too, they've been like a honorary part of Death Guaranteed Games. And if you don't know, those of you watching this, just discovering us, Ike wrote the Secret of Kythe Hollow that we published last year. Pretty epic Shutter Mountains setting. It's got me thinking about Shutter Mountains stuff. I've got these ideas brewing in my head. I have this kind of sick and twisted. I must be obsessed with cults, but I had this sick and twisted idea of a family cult in this Shutter Mountains setting, and so that's been brewing, and that might be a future project someday. Should we talk about future projects? Should we save that for another episode?
We got some time right now, so I say we could definitely, since we're already on that train, stay on it. So I will let you know that my module that just went live today, the Discovery of the Doomweaver, that is part one of a kind of series of adventures. It's all going to kind of tie together, called the Six Blades of Callous Doom. So each one of these modules will be centered around some kind of magical blade that was created by this ancient chaos lord. He gave them to his generals to go forth and spread his chaos. And as they spread further and further away, their strength began to dwindle until they were eventually defeated. And all six of these blades were then lost to time. But they have since been started to be discovered. And the party gets to, find who has these blades and recover these blades. And then at the end, it'll all... what's the word? Basically all come together culminate. There you go. Thank you. In a adventure where they take on the Chaos Lord's keep, and once they're there, they have the opportunity to either destroy the blades and banish the Chaos Lord forever, or possibly succumb to the blades' influence and bring all six of these blades together to resurrect the Chaos Lord and bring him back to the mortal realm. So we're already working on the next two modules in this series. I'm really excited for. What else do you guys got?
The Chaos Lord.
What's that?
I said I vote Resurrect the Chaos Lord.
Well, what would be interesting, I don't mean to put us on the hook, and feel free to delete this if it's not appropriate, but it would be cool to write two separate modules, kind of like a choose your own adventure, or maybe you'd publish them, like one cover reads this way, and then you flip it over and the other cover's reads backwards, and they meet at the spine. But one of the modules is if they succumb to the will of the swords, and it's an evil campaign, an evil finish, and one would be, if they're trying to be Frodo and Sam and throw the ring in the Mount Doom, like that kind of finish.
Yeah,
love that idea. Flip
the cover.
I've been fantasizing about that kind of idea for a while. Not sure where it would fit, but all of a sudden this seems like a great place for it. I'm inspired, Mark, by your. I'm not naturally generous. I'll just call it on myself. If I was working on this project, I would be writing all 7 modules myself. You came in different. You're like, yeah, I wrote the first one. Who's next? Let's please collaborate. And I'd be happy to collaborate on all of them. I'm like, oh my gosh, too much chaos. But honestly, I've been very inspired by that because I've started working on, I think what will be our second module in the Callous Doom series, if I can get all the art finished and get ready to launch in May or August, called The Pull of the Blade, the second sword of the Callous Doom. And I'll be playtesting at StratCon next weekend, and Gen Con, my first ever Gen Con. I'll be running both of my Cult That Never Was and Pull of the Blade, both the modules I wrote, as well as Games for Goodman. So it's pretty cool. In fact, catch us all at Gen Con.
Yep. All 3 eyes of the Triclops will be there. Death Guaranteed Games in full force.
Paul, you got a couple of projects brewing?
I do. I have been working on a module that I'm tentatively calling 5 Days Through the Void, and it's sort of based on the age of exploration with tall ships, and it's been playtesting pretty well. I had the opportunity to run it in a slightly different manner at Pig-Faced OrcCon this year, or last year, I suppose, 2025. And I ran it as a hex crawl, a sort of old school BX hex crawl, which really inspired me to sort of flush that aspect out and perhaps include a hex crawl as a stretch goal for the module when we fund it eventually. But I like to sell it as the terror meets the predator. So there's definitely some gonzo, out of this world elements to it, and also a very grim tale of survival and exploration by a stranded, ice-locked ship's crew. It's been a lot of fun to write, and it's been a lot of fun to play test. I just can't wait to see what kind of art we get.
Yeah, I can say I've run in it a couple times, and I've had a blast running in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You were, I think, in my first play test.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah.
We're also working on some Mutant Crawl Classic stuff. We've got a sort of outline of a module, based on a giant submarine and a tribe that was trapped and lived within it for the last millennia, and all sorts of mutinous shenanigans.
Some kind of threat that chases you around that you can't really defeat. So one of those kind of things where do I try to keep it at bay or do I just run from it every time it shows up? So one of those kind of things that gets the party to not just try to kill everything, like learn that sometimes it's good to run away.
We have some good technology-based puzzles and traps in there. That's a great thing about Mutant Crawl Classics. It kind of gives you a different angle to look at traps and puzzles by, just the most mundane of technological accomplishments to us can be an absolute head-scratcher to, a cave-dwelling mutant in the far, far, far future.
It's pretty funny that there's an opportunity there to make a nobody reads the manual joke, for a technological piece. What VCR has ever kept the manual around? I mean, right. I've never read a single manual. No. And it would be pretty funny to find a manual, have and it's sealed shut because it's never been opened. And anyway, let's not give away our ideas. Edit that out, Mark.
Yeah.
What else? We talked about pretty much everything we came to talk about today, right?
I think so. I think so. We'll keep it relatively short and simple. I know, for a lot of streamers and stuff like that, or people listening, quick little clips and things like that are what people enjoy. So we won't make it too long. We won't take up too much of your time. And I will just say that I appreciate you guys coming and listening. I appreciate you guys coming and chatting with me. And again, with Discovery the Doomweaver currently live, I appreciate all those that support. If you watch this after it's already closed, our next Kickstarter will definitely have everything that we've published prior will be available. So look forward to the future. And outside of that, I thank you guys for coming and joining our Deathcast today. You guys want to say a sign-offs at all? You good?
Well, since you directly broke the fourth wall and talked to the audience, I was thinking maybe we could throw a few prompts out there to see if we can get some engagement.
Yeah, we're always looking for feedback. We want to engage with the community. We're very, very small right now, so you can anticipate that most anyone who makes a comment, ask us a question. We have a lot of experience, together anyways. Again, going all the way back to 83 here. A lot of experience with TTRPGs. So if you have any questions, you're looking for any ideas or anything, please, leave your comments, message us, and we'll get back to everything that we possibly can. And again, being small right now, shouldn't be difficult to respond to everything on there. But we look forward to the engagement, guys. Guys and gals.
DeathGuaranteedGames.com.
Yep. Come find us. All right. With that, we thank you, and you all have a wonderful day.
Keep rolling.